Hello, everyone. Another episode of Podward State. My name is Matthew Paolizzi.
My name is Sam Brungo. Joining us back again is Onward State sports editor, Will Pegler. Will, it's been a while. Happy to have you back on the pod. How you doing tonight?
Guys, how's it going? Thanks very much for having me. Definitely an extended break, but I'm super happy to be back. Thanks for having me back on.
I mean, Pegs, what a pod to come back for, man. I mean, we just wrapped it up, recording this now, and I'm like still jittery. I'm so excited and so hyped after doing it, man. We had on former Penn State running back Journey Brown. We had to talk with him today, and just, man, I mean, Sam, I don't know about you. We've been on a lot of pods, but definitely one of the best we've ever done.
Yeah, really cool conversation. I mean, Journey's a cool guy, really down to earth. But Will, can you just give us a little, for any of the Podward State listeners that aren't familiar with Journey Brown, can you give just a little history lesson about him and his time at Penn State real quick?
Totally, yeah. Well, it was an awesome interview. He pretty much ran through his entire career football-wise, but started at Meadville High School near Erie. Kind of burst on the scene. He ran for like 7 touchdowns in high school, which was absurd. I think he went viral for that. But goes on, gets recruited at Penn State. Kind of an under the radar guy his first 2 years, and really grinds, works hard. And in 2019, he blew up. I mean, especially at the end of the season, he finished the year with like 12 touchdowns. And I think a lot of people know him for that Cotton Bowl performance where he had over 200 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, a couple of mean stiff arms. But I think, as a lot of people know, that went down as his last game at Penn State. It was found out that he had a heart condition that forced him out of his football career forever. Really, really tough story, but it was awesome to talk to him and see kind of how he's, looking at the positive side of things, moving into football through different career paths and things like that. So really, really cool conversation.
All right, let's jump into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our conversation with former Penn State running back Journey Brown.
Journey, how you doing?
Good, man. How about y'all?
Hanging in there. So I guess we're going to start off sort of at the beginning, right, of your career. So playing out there, got your name out for yourself, and then Penn State comes knocking, right? How did that process go first, meeting Coach Franklin and everybody over at Penn State?
So the first off, when I started getting more or less recruited, I went to a camp, and that day, like, I just had a all around fantastic day. I was snapping. I don't think I dropped one ball. I was playing like slot, running back, and I was just having a good day. And then Coach Franklin, I went up to Coach Franklin's office and talked to him for a little bit, and he was just telling me, he's like, "Oh, like your high school stats are like really good." He's like, "But your competition is not." And I was like, "Yeah," but I was like, my thought process was like, I'm doing out of the world type of stats because I don't belong in this area. Like I know I'm good enough. So like my uncle's always like taught me, like, if you're gonna be better than people, the only way to really show that you're better is embarrass them. So like, just go out there and go crazy. And that's kind of what I did. And so I started talking to Coach Franklin. He said, we'll be in touch. Then Coach Moorhead and Coach Huff is really who were recruiting me hard and heavy. They was always they would come to Meadville, they would come to the school, come to my basketball practices and watch me hoop a little bit and come to my home. But it was a long process because my grades in high school, they weren't the best. I mean, it was high school. I didn't care about nothing but playing football. School really wasn't the main thing to me. So they were kind of iffy. And then like between my junior and like my senior, something just, I was like, if I really want to go play ball, like, school is the first step. And then I just started going, I'm capable of doing it. It's just, I don't want to do it. And so I just started going crazy in school, scored high enough on the SATs, started getting my grades up, and it just took off after that.
Awesome. So what kind of set Penn State apart from some of the other schools that were recruiting you? Like, what were some of the other, big names that were going after you, and what really set, what Coach Franklin and everybody else was building up here apart from them?
I mean, just when I got up here, first of all, for the game, first game I went to was I think it was 2000, the year before I got there. So 2016, the Ohio State game when Marcus Allen blocked the field goal.
Because this is a career-long attempt for Tyler Durbin, who's super reliable inside of 40. This is from 45, and it's blocked. Lions scoop it up. Brad Haley will score.
And then my cousin's talking to me in my ear, like, "Oh, did you see that?" And he's like, "Right here." And I can't hear him. That's how loud the stadium was at that time. So for me, I was like, "Dang, this joint jumping. Like, I gotta come here." Like, but like I always wanted like the city to be around, not around the school, but the state colleges is like Penn State, and then like there's a city inside of the school. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I didn't like Pittsburgh. There was like Pittsburgh, and then it was Pitt, and I needed something that was more like Meadville. Like Meadville's a football town. You know, like we're around the football team, and that's how here was. And I didn't like the city because I went to a Pitt like little recruiting thing, and I couldn't tell the difference between the actual business building, between the school business building and the buildings. I didn't like that inner city, not the inner city, but I didn't like the city type. And Temple was kind of like the same way. But I mean, Penn State just separated itself, and it was close enough to, at the time, my grandma, she wanted me to go play football at a high level, but stay close to her so I can go back and forth and see her. So obviously, I damn sure wasn't going to Pitt, so it was Penn State. So
yeah. So when you were at Meadville, you ran track as well. You broke the Pennsylvania 100-meter dash record, correct?
Yeah, it's a.
You still hold that record?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Let's go.
Here we go. Elliott. Brown got a much better start, though, and in lane 1, Jennings. Journey Brown on his way to repeating as state champions in the 100 meters. And Journey Brown, look at this time, might also be a state record. Ties the state record. And who holds the state record? Leroy Burrell. 10:44. What company to be in?
Were you the fastest player when you were at Penn State? And if not, who was?
No. Maybe long distance. More of a once I get going, it's over. But out the gates, off rip, it was my roommate Drew Hartlaub, and it was KJ Hamler. They just out the blocks, just so fast. Those are the fastest dudes, and then of course I'll say myself. And of course you got freakishly fast, and with Jason Oweh, and then with Micah Parsons, just at that size and weight, and you move that fast. That's when I really first, like my freshman year, when I see people moving like that, that's when I was like, damn, do I belong here? People out here running fast as hell at that size. But yeah, I would say my roommate Drew Hartlaub and then KJ Hamler were faster than me at the blocks. But I'll take anybody on in 100 meters for sure.
So kind of jumping to your freshman year at Penn State. Obviously Saquon's there balling out in 2017, but also Miles Sanders is in the room too. What was it kind of like to, be able to play with those guys, be around those guys, like right off the jump when you get to Penn State?
Being on the same team with them, it's kind of like you can't be like, oh, Saquon, can you like sign my shirt for me? And oh, Miles, can you do this, that, and the other? But of course, like it took a little bit to get used to, because I don't think people really understood, because when I was getting recruited, Saquon was my big, like he took me out to parties and stuff. And I really truthfully don't think people understand like how famous this dude was, like at this school. Like we were going into parties, he had a hat on, we'd walk in there, the frat boys be like, whoa, like, what are you doing? Like, you can't get in here. He would lift his hat, be like, oh my God, Saquon, come on in, please. And then like they would stop me, and Saquon would be like, oh no, he's with me. And they're like, oh my God, can I get you a drink? Can I get, like, I got people asking me if they can do something for me, and they don't even know who I am just because I'm with this dude. And it was just like, it was crazy. It took a little while to get used to. Same thing with Miles. Miles was kind of more quiet, like, was to himself. But he partied, everybody partied. But being around those guys, it was just fun. I like to wrestle, mess around, and I'm a big dude. And I until I met Saquon, and that's kind of when I stopped really wrestling dudes on the team, because I used to wear extra large helmet, and then he put me in a headlock one time and squeezed my head so hard I went down to a medium. And after that day, I stopped playing with him. But no, being around those two specifically was really fun. But kind of for me, where I learned kind of most of my skills and paid attention, who really took me under my wings, is the guys you don't really hear about, which is like Jonathan Thomas, JT, J-Mac, Joshua McPherson, Mark Allen, Andre Robinson, Nick Urey. Those guys really took me in, and then taught me kind of what what I really was capable of doing when I got older. And but you see the big plays from Miles and Saquon, all the other guys, that the behind the scenes type guys. They really helped me and to kind of become the player I was. But ain't nobody work harder than any of those guys I just named. Saquon came in after a 250-yard game rushing and come in and still put in work. Miles, same way, come in and do 600 pounds on the squats. Andre, Mark, J-Mac, and JT do the same thing. They play the games and still out there doing 600 pounds. In high school, I would run for 350 yards, come in the next day and sit down and watch everybody else lift. I just do little curls and stuff so coach wouldn't cuss me out. But when I got up here, I was like, wow, like they ain't none of that. And seeing that was really made me more confident and really see how if you want to keep playing at this level or play at this level, this is what you got to do. And that's what I was just like, you know what, JB, just sit back and watch. Because I knew I was going to redshirt. Ain't no way in hell I was about to play. I was like the 8th dude on the running back roster. So for me in that year, I would say like I was, I think I got too comfortable kind of being a background guy because I was trying to observe and watch. And if that's something I could do, go back, is more like learn as you're doing it instead of learn and then kind of try to do it on your own time. But yeah, that was a big guy. I'll say behind the scene guys has really made me who I was.
Where do you think that mentality of them coming in after the game and doing the 600-pound squats and stuff, where did that come from? Was that from Penn State, or was that instilled in them and then therefore carried over to you when you got to that point?
For me personally, I think that was more of like a Penn State standard, which those guys learned from the older guys, and then it just keeps trickling down, especially for running backs. We've been doing this. I'm the oldest. I remember coming in, I was 18 years old, youngest guy on the running back room. And then next thing you know, it's snapping their fingers. I'm the oldest dude in the room. So just seeing them do it and not only do it and seeing the product placement, and then just watching them do whatever, that was kind of like one of those things. It was just simple. Like, oh, they're doing it. They're doing great out here. Then now I see what I got to do to be great. And that's kind of what it kind of took off.
Yeah. So moving forward a tiny bit, right? So 2019, right? You've already seen Saquon play freshman year, already seen Miles tear it up your sophomore year. Now it's kind of like, at least from the outside, kind of up in the air a tiny bit of who's going to kind of take that crown, right? As that guy, as that star RB, so starting off the season, right, it was kind of like a running back by committee type thing. Everybody was getting touches, trying to figure out who meshed well, but you were kind of the one who kind of emerged out of that running back core. So how was that like sort of developing as the season went through and slowly, you were becoming the guy? Like, how was that feeling?
Just because I knew kind of from in the back of my head, I always knew what I was capable of. Just the confidence in me and the confidence my family instilled in me, and just kind of how I went about things. I knew that I love my brothers and my long boys and all. I'll die for them boys. But at the end of the day, you got to understand, like, hey, it's your life. So you got to take care of it. You got to do what you got to do to get to where you want to be. And for me, and that's kind of what, because I'm a nice guy. I'm always thinking about other people. I put other people for me. And that was kind of one of the steps I had to take. Kind of like, now would they take the opportunity even if we're brothers? I'm like, well, yeah. So you need to do the same thing. And once I realized with Coach Sider's help too, he's saying like, once you eat, everybody's eating. If Noah Kane's eating, that means you're eating too, because we're gonna pitch you in. You're gonna be running the ball as well. So that made me feel more comfortable with, okay, JB, you go out there and do what you need to do. Once you get tired, you come out there, there ain't gonna be no drop off because they're gonna try to do the same thing or better, And that's what really made me feel like when I started getting more confidence with myself, and that's where I really feel like I took off.
And kind of continuing on with the 2019 season, I mean, you got super hot at the end of that year, and obviously capped it off with that Cotton Bowl. You went viral with that stiff arm run, 202 yards, I think.
Penn State going fast as well. They hand it off to Journey Brown between the tackles, still on his feet, bringing that smoke with the straight arm, still going. What a journey! Touchdown!
looking back on it now, obviously it being, now your last game, do you kind of look at that as like a bittersweet thing, or do you look at that as like, I went out on top, I balled out in my last game? How do you kind of look at that now?
For me, it was like obviously it's going to be a bittersweet because obviously I wanted to keep playing and whatnot. But for me, it was kind of like one of those like 30 for 30s, like, oh, this is what he did. Like, this is what could have been, and that's what kind of, it'd be more of there's a bunch of little stuff that like kind of like, damn, like hurts my feelings kind of. And that was one of them because that was the game where I showed all my attributes, showed why I should be in the conversation as the best back. And like, that was, for me, that was like, you know what, like that was the tip of the hat for this season. But it was more like, now y'all see who Journey Brown is. That was the preview. Like, you just seen a little bit of the movie. Like, now wait until next season, like, then you can see the whole thing. It's going to be a 5-star movie, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and whatever, that it was going to be like one of those things. So that's where the bitter part comes. But the sweet part is, like, I mean, it was a great game. I mean, I'd have been pissed if I finished with like 15 rushes, like 5 yards and no touchdowns, 3 fumbles, So of course I'd rather go out with a bang like that than anything. But the bitter part is what I knew I was going to be capable of the next season.
Would you say that's your favorite moment from the 2019 season, or is there other moments that stick out?
I feel like my favorite moment was that season was the first game of the season when we were playing Idaho. I think we were playing Idaho, and my first touchdown was in the student section end zone, and that was when I got to Penn State. That was always one of like the biggest dreams of mine, was to score in that area. And then of course the Rutgers game, the last game of the season, when I was playing for my family, for my cousin, just to kind of pour it out and leave that on the field to be able to do that for him. And then believe it or not, like the Ohio State and Minnesota games, I feel like I played my best team football. Even though there were losses, I feel like I did everything I could to try to put my team in a position to get the win. And we just fell short anyway. So, but those are just some of the games that I think of and whatnot.
Kind of moving on, right? Progressing after that season through the off season. What was sort of the process that eventually led to your condition being discovered? Like, can you sort of walk us through that initial sort of discovery as it happened?
For me, it was just after the off season, I went out to California. I went out to California, worked out, came back, worked out with the team, and then we found out like, oh, the season ain't gonna happen, So then I went back to California to keep working out because that's just who I am. I don't like sitting around and not doing nothing. Always just keep working, always try to get better. Even if I don't work out, I go do some stretches and figure out, oh, why is my knee hurt or why is my back hurt? Make sure I'm at 100%. And then when I came back, they started doing, like, everybody was getting COVID. That's when it was just crazy. So we were being safe, and it was just what it just was. It was just that rule. I lost my train of thought. But then my roommate got COVID, and then they started doing the test. The Big Ten put in the test because I guess like when people have COVID and then they started finding out like there was conditions like heart conditions and whatever and whatnot. Because I guess like the Georgia State dude passed away from a heart condition that was because of COVID because it made his heart whatever. So the week they put it in is the pretty much the week I got COVID. And I got tested Wednesday, came back positive. So I was like, oh damn! Like I was like, damn, my roommate gave me COVID. He was going out partying and shit. I've been at the crib chilling, like bastard. Like I was pissed, like But I went to the hotel, was in there. You had to do like I think I did 10 days or whatever. So I did 10 days. Then I was cleared to come back, but I couldn't do anything. I had to get tested, MRI, yada yada, blah blah blah. Then we went to Hershey the next week, and I'm sitting here like, I can't wait to get back. I'm just like, this is corny. Like I'm just sitting here, like there ain't nothing wrong with me because I was working out and stuff before, felt fine, just regular tired. Just felt like normal me. We pull up to Harrisburg. It was like 6 a.m, so that means we left here at like 4 o'clock. And then they were like, who's going first? And it was me and a bunch of freshmen. So I was like, I'm going first so I could sleep after. I go into the John, they put the IV in me, and I'm sitting there, and my trainer told me it was going to be like not long, but it's going to be quick. They scan you, make sure you do a bunch of breathing, whatever. So I go in there, I'm breathing and doing whatever they're telling me, but I'm sitting here and it's early in the morning, so I'm tired. I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they keep tapping in on my legs. I keep falling asleep. But I've been in the zone for like 2 hours, almost 3. I'm like, damn, bro, like that was taking so long. And they end up pulling me out, and I always like to mess around. So I go out and talk to one of the doctors. I say, hey, how's she looking? My heart pumping good, huh? And he like starts laughing. He's like, no, he said, we'll see. I was like, we'll see. Like, you ain't able to just look at a heart and say, oh, that's a healthy heart. And I was like messing with him. I was like, what do you mean? Like, he was like, well, we got to run a bunch of more tests and make sure blah, blah, blah. Like, kind of like, I got a gut feeling. I was like, what? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, you're a doctor and you're not able to tell me if the heart looks good off of what you see on paper. Like, if you show me a picture of a girl, she's a beautiful girl, I'm like, oh, damn, she's a beautiful girl. And I'm like, oh, we got to run a bunch of other tests. Look, what she look like without makeup? Like, she's beautiful, a beautiful lady. So we end up coming back, and I start to see dudes that got the same test as me. They were coming back the next day. I think it was like Trent Gordon came back, Curtis came back, and I'm just sitting here like, damn, why the hell am I still sitting here? And then I think it was 2 or 3 days after I think everybody was cleared, and I went up to I had a meeting with Andy, and but it was with Coach Franklin and all them. So Andy was like, oh, we got a meeting with Coach and doctors and whatnot. And I go upstairs, and my gut always tells me like when there's something wrong. So I'm going upstairs, and I just get this weird feeling, like a weird cloud coming over me. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, damn, I think something's gonna be wrong. Like I'm in trouble or something. Like, I go up in the room, and it's like Coach Sider, both of the doctors, Coach Franklin, Andy. I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn. And it was my buddy, he works for the team, but his name is Will Flaherty. I'm sitting there like, damn, like, what do I do now? Like, I don't be doing nothing. I've been chilling. I was like, I swear I didn't leave the hotel now, COVID. I didn't leave. I ended up sitting down, and they're all just sitting there like the doctors and Coach Sider and Coach Franklin, they wouldn't even look at me. Like they weren't even trying to look at me. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the doctors, and they're like, Journey, like we did all their tests, and we found something in your heart. I'm like, okay, like I keep pushing, like I feel fine, so we keep doing what we can do. And they were like, they were just pretty much running it down and told me like the walls of my heart are thickened and it's harder to push blood through and blah blah blah. It's still me. I'm like okay, like what's the problem? I'm still gonna play. Like I don't care what y'all tell me. And they were like, oh, this is like serious. And I was like, oh, like, well, I'm like gonna die or something. They're like, yeah, possibly. And they're like, if you keep playing. He's like, so before we pretty much allow you to do anything, we're just gonna tell you right now that you're going to miss like 20, I think it would be 2020 season. And I sat back and I was like, excuse my French, I was like, ain't no fucking way. I said, get out of here. Like, you playing with me. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started crying. I was mad. I was just sitting there like, what do you mean? Like, what the hell's going on? And then I like went outside. I was yelling. You thought somebody died. I mean, that's how I felt. And I was just mad. And I didn't really know what to do. And that whole day I was just sitting there just like this. Like I got the cry out. I was sitting there. I called my mom, told my mom. Then my mom proceeded to tell my family, but it wasn't fully out because they didn't know if it was really going to hold me back. And then they sent it to the specialist in Hershey to look over it, and I think I had to wait like another week or something. So then they gave it to the specialist in Hershey, and I'm on FaceTime with him, and my mom and my aunt are on FaceTime with him, and it's me and Andy. And he's like going over it. He's like, yeah. He was like, so you got what they said you got hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which means same shit with the blood pumping through. And, it's not gonna be able to pump through. And at the time, I had like all these wires and stuff to monitor my heart and a bunch of stuff on my arm. Like I look like RoboCop. Like I just got a bunch of electronic stuff hooked up to monitor my body pretty much. And he was like, so I'm gonna put it the best way I can. He was like, if I was your coach, your mom, your father, he's and as your doctor, he's like, I'm telling you that you're not gonna play football no more. Like you won't be able to play football ever again in your life. And I was sitting there, and I was just sitting there like, what? You're telling me I've been playing football my whole life. Now you tell me that going on to not even my peak, I feel like I can't play no more. So of course I was mad. I stood up, ripped everything off of me. Looked like Wolverine off X-Men. I ripped all the stuff off me, threw it on the ground, took off my I was literally just getting ready to, I think I was getting ready to work out or something, just like a little slight zone. I took off my little practice, whatever. And my boy Will was in the room with me. And he's like following me. Like I threw my phone, like I was just so angry. And he was like, he's like, what are you gonna go do? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you expect me? Like at this point, like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I come back here, and my girlfriend was here, and I asked her to leave, and I just tell people to leave me alone. I locked my door, laid on my floor, just stared at the ceiling for hours. Just had no thoughts. I wasn't crying, just sitting there doing nothing. And then of course I was like, okay, let's go to, at least I know that Hershey's a good hospital, but I'm not going to just take his word for it, go get a second opinion. So of course we go to Cleveland Clinic, which is number one for what I got. Go there, do pretty much the same test. I do like a stress test, EKGs, everything you think of. Excuse me. And he tells me the same thing. He was like, but he didn't try to sugarcoat it or nothing, which I prefer. He tells me straight up, yeah, you got what you got. You won't play again. He was like, yeah, like pretty much like matter of fact, like if your heart keeps doing this, he's like, you're gonna need surgery. Like you're gonna need like open heart surgery. He was like, if you like go to do football type stuff at that level, which is like how we work out and stuff, he's like, you high chance that you're gonna drop dead. And me at the time, I was like, you know what, freak it. You only live once, YOLO. Like, you never hear, like my mindset was, you never hear about a soldier that signed up to be in the military dying on the battlefield. Like you never hear him complain, like, oh, I don't want to die here. Like, no, you came here to do this. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I came here, like I'm literally, with my mindset at the time, like I'm made to play football. I got big hands. They make fun of me all the time. I got a big ass back. I'm strong. I'm built to play football. So I'm sitting here like, why? Like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, and it was just at this point, like I still don't know what I'm gonna do, but I kind of am starting to come to peace with it. That my mind started to switch. That I'm not necessarily a football player no more, but like I'm more of I'm getting into that coach mode where I can start. Hopefully, my mind will let me go coach. Go sit under Coach Sutter and learn from what he do. Because he had the same problem, but he played, and he had to just stop because just circumstances. So like he kind of shares the same pain. So he understands me. That's my dude, regardless. But just pretty much finding out who I'm gonna be at this point. But that's the whole. Sorry, I kept talking, but that's the whole spiel. That was from the beginning to the end. Then I went. Actually, when did I go? This past week, 2 weeks ago. What, to the other? Yeah. It was like February something. But I went again, and it was just like the same thing. I did the same test and just got the same outcome. That was another kind of like, okay, JD, like you got to figure out what you want to do. And kind of for me, that's like I said, snowboarding for me, like I kind of, it's not like the same rush I get, but like for me, concentrating on what I'm doing and doing tricks and stuff, like I kind of get like that little, it's almost like, I'm an analogy type guy. It's almost like I'm smoking crack. And the only way I can get a little bit of that high is like to do stuff that like puts my mind in the concentrating mode and not to focus and feel my body out. So I kind of get like a little taste of how I felt playing football. So that's why you see me on the slopes all the time. That's why I went to Colorado. I'm always at Tussey by your crib. So that's why I like snowboarding so much. Because it kind of makes me feel that peace. But yeah, sorry I talked but that long, but that's the whole start to end.
You kind of have an interesting, I was just thinking about when you were saying that, because you said you got COVID and so you kind of have a different experience with COVID that most people have, because in some way, like, you getting COVID saved your life.
That's what my mom and my aunt pretty much said. They weren't saying that the events and stuff that happened pretty much saved my life, but they're big believers in like, there's people watching over you and everything. I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. But I wish, like, more when times like this, you question that, like, does it really, like, is like, because you don't really see like what your purpose is, I guess, so to speak. But my mom and aunt were telling me like the season getting canceled or getting pushed back, so you can be able to not do as much. You getting the Big Ten making new rules that they check for everything, MRIs and all that, and then Jaden going out and getting COVID, and then you getting it somehow. If anything, like, they were like, "Oh, that saved your life." Like, "Oh, you're lucky, if anything." And you know me, I'm hard headed, especially when it comes to football. I was like, "Yeah, if it was up to me, I would have never found out." I kept playing. But of course, when I think as not football journey, but JB, regular J journey, I think about my family, think about my peoples, you know, and of course, like, of course I'm gonna stop playing. You know, like, I got people depending on me. At the end of the day, you know, I got people to take care of. So at the end of the day, you know, I got to stay here as long as I can to do that.
So after all those second opinions and stuff, was that like, did you and Coach Franklin immediately decide, like, all right, I'll go into kind of like a coaching role here to stay with the team, or did that take like a few more weeks for you to kind of like accept things and before you fully moved on?
I'm gonna be truthfully honest with you. Coach Franklin and Coach Sider and the whole coaching staff wanted me to coach as soon as I found out from the Hershey doctor. They was trying to get me to come in and start helping Coach Sider with the running backs, and they was offering me jobs, and they was pulling strings. And after I posted after the second time, so I've been told 3 times. After the second time, that's when I posted my little joint on Instagram, and after that, I had Pegler hit me up to come do a GA spot with the Bills. I had some of my trainers out in California wanted me to come and be like a trainer, be the running backs coach there. I had some of the agents I got real close with. They wanted me to kind of be like an agent, and so I had a lot of people because I'm more of a guy like to think like people just won't go out their way like for me, but after all that stuff happened, like I see people really how they really feel about me, and kind of how I live my life, kind of came back. So that felt good to be kind of recognized as like he can't do this, he can't do that. So like I have a lot of options, but for me, like I said, I got to transition my mind from Journey, not a football player no more. You got to do like them who can't do teach, like those people that can't do it, they teach it. So I need to get that in my head pretty much. I'm getting closer and closer as the time comes, and I'm starting to get a little bit chubby. I'm starting to get fat a little bit, but most coaches are. So let's get it.
Even though you weren't there as a player, you were still very involved with the program. So what was it like? Obviously, Penn State had like a very abnormal year. They started out 0-5. Obviously, it was weird circumstances with COVID, just Big Ten.
Right.
What was it like being around the program during that time that, people were like laughing at you guys, like you were just getting a lot of hate from everyone after that 0-5 start. So what was it like to be part of that program during that time?
You got to you can't let the highs get too high. You can't let the lows get too low. And that's kind of like what we were thinking. There's going to be rough years and there's going to be good years. Like 2019, we had a great year. We come back, we have a bad year. It's just, I guess it's more or less of not getting in the habit of being what we were last year. Of course, morale was down at some points, but me coming in and being around, just because I've always been that guy, like not a motivator, but I like to mess around, make sure people are not in a slump. And to be honest, I would only say it was only a couple guys that really were in that slump, and it was really good to see because we were losing games, and to see the high hopes and stuff, and us against the world mentality, We don't care about nobody but us. We're gonna ball out regardless. And realize that shit happens. We might fumble, they might score pick six, you know. You gotta always remember those guys are on scholarship too. You know, they make plays, you know. To see that, and then for me, the biggest take I got from that season and just being around was seeing the young running backs, the guys in my room, kind of go through the same thing I went through. You know, you start playing, you start getting it, like, oh, now I see what you're talking about. When we say, oh, read the first play, side D lineman, if he flashes up, you cut in, stuff like that. Or watch the safety, they'll tell you where to go when they're blitzing. The safeties pull left, that means it's a chain gang. Somebody's coming from this side, you know. He got to replace him. Somebody got to replace him, and just see their minds start clicking and them start getting football. It was almost like a proud father moment. Like, there you go, guys. Like, and you're starting to get it. It was just a beautiful thing, especially with Kevon Keziah. And then unfortunately Noah got hurt, but even with Dev, you know, him starting to trust himself and kind of still be that old head and understand, even if your role isn't as big as you want it to be, always be ready to go in. Don't matter, you know. Once one of us eat, we all eat. And just to see them kind of without me take over that long boy mentality and how we do it, but kind of make it their own new John. It was like, you know what, like, these guys can be ours regardless. Like, it wasn't the fact that I was out there going crazy. It was the fact that the long boys in general were going crazy, and to see them do that in general, no matter if JB there, Noah there, Dev is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, or Keziah, they're gonna do it regardless. And that was a big, like, you know what, relief for me, because you know, I know what I'm capable of, but I wasn't. One time when I was watching the game, damn, I would have done this. It was more like, there you go, Kevon, you get it next time. There you go, Keziah. Make sure you got plant your foot. Damn, Dev, got pick up your feet, man. Like, it was more like watching my brothers play instead of me saying like, damn, I would have done better. Damn, and that's I could do no good for nobody. So, but yeah, that would be my biggest takeaway, is watching the young guys become old heads to me.
Yeah, you know, I was actually at the Illinois game photographing for Onward State, and it was just, to your credit, it was really interesting to see you, Pat, on the sideline, and just how the young players really flock to you guys, and really just like after they come off the field, you and Pat would be one of the first ones they'd go to, and you'd talk to them about what was going on. That was just really cool to see that you guys kind of still carried that respect within the program.
Yeah, kind of like that coach's mindset already.
Yeah, I mean, that was for most people, set goals and, oh, I want to be like a Heisman Trophy winner. Of course, that's the end goal, or a Maxwell Award winner. But I remember for me, when my biggest goal was to get that respect. I remember watching. It would be like we going to team meetings and watching all the guys go up to the front to dap up Saquon, Trace, Jawan, DeAndre, Tommy, Blake Gilligan, Jan Johnson, Kabinda, seeing all those guys up there, Christian Campbell, Marcus Allen, like, those guys were the most respected dudes on the team. And I was like, okay, like, my main goal, obviously, if those are the most respected, that means you sit up front if you're most respected on the team. So my main goal was to get up, to be able to have my seat up front, to be that guy up front. And even in the locker room, all the old heads and all the most respected guys sit in the middle of the locker room. And that was one of my biggest goals. So for me to get that respect, I sat up in the front. I got my locker in the middle of the locker room. And to have guys, I remember my biggest thing I take away when I was playing, we were in the running back meeting room. And I remember I sat down, and I remember as a young bull, I sat next to, I think I sat next to Miles. So I sat down next to Miles, and I sat against the guys that I thought were the guys. But I remember I sat down where my normal seat was, because it used to be like me, Ricky Slade, and then Noah Kane sat across, and then Dev Ford sat behind me, and Nick Uri sat behind him. And then I remember I was sitting there, and I was started writing my notes down, the main running back goals and going through everything. And then all I feel was like two dudes sit right next to me, and it's Keziah. It was Keziah and Tank sat right next to me, and I was sitting there like, damn, like, I'm the old head now. Like, they come sit next to me because they want to learn from me. And I was just like, damn. And I remember I was just sitting there. I was just like, felt like that was probably the best feeling I had. It was like, damn, Like now you the OG. Now, and of course, in my head, I was like, don't freak it up now. Don't tell them something wrong, and they go out there and do bad because you tell them the wrong shit. But no, it was one of them things where that was my make me feel good moment for sure.
So a little bit ways down the road still, but for next year, do you plan on, having a similar role as a coach, or do you plan on kind of doing something else and moving on a little bit?
For me personally, I think I want to get my feet wet in kind of the coaching thing. It's not that I want to technically want to be an actual coach. I see what they actually have to do. And I know for me being 21, kind of still want to be, kind of want to experience my life, more or less, because for me personally, I miss a lot of parties. I didn't go to a lot of functions. I didn't do a lot of stuff because I was playing football. That was the only thing on my mind ever was work, get better, watch film, do what you got to do to be that guy. So for me right now, I'm gonna, like I said, snowboard and have fun, enjoy my life a little bit. And when next year comes around, well, this year technically comes around, I think I'm gonna be a lot more involved in being like an actual, coach GA type of person, and really get my feet wet into it and see if that's something I want to do. And of course, I'm gonna go see if I want to be a trainer, or go see if I want to be an agent. Dabble in everything and get a taste of everything, and then stick with what feels most comfortable with me.
Yeah, so I guess moving even past football, even after graduation and all that. I know you said, you're still getting your feet wet with everything, still trying to explore, but sort of generally, like, what's your life looking like right now? Like, what are things that you're excited to do? I mean, you've talked a bunch to us about, picking up snowboarding and all that, but what are some other things you're excited to sort of hop into as your life goes on?
I just feel like kind of just relaxing. I think I spent a lot of my time beating up my body, getting big, getting my body right, eating right. So for me, it's gonna be living those life experiences that I really felt like I had to bypass because I had to, So for me, it's just relaxing, kind of figuring out who am I personally other than football related. And once I feel like I get that mindset and figure out kind of who I really am, I feel like that's when I'll be able to actually sit down and be like, okay, I want to be a coach. Okay. Or I want to be an agent, or I want to be just a trainer and be able to get guys to this level to be able to do this. Or do I want to be a coach, a high school coach? I coach these guys because I've been there at these levels to get them to that level. Or do I want to be a college coach because I've been at that level and I know what it takes to get my guys coached up and ready to get them to the next point, to see them fulfill their dreams and maybe live through them, because I wasn't able to do that. But that would be one of the things, just relax and kind of figure out who I want to be and who I am, besides what I've been telling myself all these years, and just kind of, I feel like I kind of developed into the person I am now because of football. So it's like almost like a breakup, like, okay, like me and football broke up. So now I got to figure out what I like to do besides hang out with football. And snowboarding, of course, was the most attractive to me. So I'm gonna take that and run with it. Maybe I'll end up not liking it or something. Maybe I'll bust my ass and be like, I'm done with this. But just pretty much relax and live life a little bit. Kick back, put my feet up, just have fun.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people obviously in the Penn State community were heartbroken to hear about your situation, to hear your career was cut short. But it sounds like you got your head straight on your shoulders, and it sounds like you got a lot of good things to look forward to in your future. So, Journey Brown, we really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all for letting me speak for a little bit.
There you have it, folks. That was our conversation with Journey Brown. Really cool. And, I love talking to him. He gave us just some insight into, just kind of an experience that most people don't get to experience in their life. Not only just playing football at such a high level, being like the star of the team, but then also, getting forced out of that due to a medical condition. And, he's making the best of it. It seems like he's got a lot of life left to live, and that's very special. Peo, what do you think? That was pretty fun.
You know, I think it was almost 10, 15 minutes of him, you know, really being genuine with us and just telling us, you know, step by step the process of him discovering it, you know, and then him meeting with the doctors and Coach Franklin afterwards, you know, just hearing him, you know, relay that and just, you know, really being authentic with that and telling us everything and just, you know, laying it all out there, you know, it was awesome to hear. You know, it was, you know, I was like watching him just like completely, you know, sucked into the story. You know, it was such a good job. I mean, I wish him all the best in the future.
Once again, thank you, Will, for joining us. Will, did you enjoy chatting with Journey? What do you think?
Guys, that was awesome. Thank you for letting me, you know, sit in on that, ask a few questions. Agree with you guys. I mean, he was super genuine and really didn't hold anything back and was super honest about what happened. So thanks to Journey again for coming on and taking the time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sam and Matt, thank you for having me on. I had a ton of fun.
It's always a pleasure. And signing off here from another episode of Podward State. My name is Samuel Brungo.
And I'm Matt Paolizzi.
Yeah, take it easy, y'all.